Well, as you can already tell, if you watched the first episode of Red and I, we have a lot of fun together. We're about the same age. We have a lot in common in terms of growing up, a lot of stories, and we enjoy each other's company. So stay tuned and watch the action.
These bloodshot eyes of knowledge, too proud to ever behold the all that is this and nothingness out on the bad river road, out on the bad river road.
All right, we had to go 4 miles so we found the next good culvert, and we checked several on the way over here. The trap is gone. I like to add wire or cable to the trap so a lot of times the animal will go out of sight into the culvert. I see my stabilizer. One of the reasons we set this, there's this big pile of skunk droppings here, so
you're stepping in it.
I don't mind it on my shoes as much as I mind it on my pants. And I really like using the body grips because we don't have to deal with the smell unless we want to. I like to have a treated trap. The traps, I used to never, I don't want to use a double negative. I didn't think that having a rusty trap would make a difference. But then I got dealing a little bit more with tan fur, and I found out, because I always thought when they tan the fur they could take the rust out. Well, I have to, or I want to produce the best product I can, so I use a treated trap, and even dipping them one time will make a big difference as far as how nice they set, because a rusty trap doesn't set smooth, it doesn't fire smooth, and it has a potential to make your product lower quality. What I did when I set this, I had to take my trap and hammer and dig out a little bit so that my trap fit in here nice. The animals don't care. So all I have to do is clip this on here, set the trigger. I like to push my springs down and contact the ground so it's stable. Take my safety catches off. That's ready for the next customer. Got another nice white striped skunk for our catch pile. 2 out of 2 so far. One of the signs that we're looking for when we're out here setting is not only a culvert that's obviously being used, we're looking for these feces. And a skunk's feces are almost entirely made up out of insects. Now I don't like to squeeze them in my hands, check and see if they're moist or warm, but you can see all the exoskeletons of the little pieces of grasshopper in there. That's a skunk dropping, and it's reasonably fresh. If you come over here and take a look at this culvert, they don't always have a trail going off into the field. Sometimes the animals are actually traveling on the road. There's a trail that looks like it's coming from the road. There's no trail on the other side of the road going in or out of the culvert. And there's no trail, obvious trail going into the field to the back of the cameraman. But this is obviously being used. So I'm gonna put a body grip here in the entrance of it, do minimal amount of blocking. And when I work out of the truck, I like to have everything orderly, in an orderly fashion. That way I'm not yanking and tugging on a big tangled up mess. So I've got my extension wire on here, and 9 times out of 10 when that animal gets caught, he's going to go back in the tube. Get out of sight of everybody and birds of prey, which is an important thing.
Wiebe Trapline Adventures is brought to you by F&T Fur Harvesters Trading Post. Everything you need for trapping and hunting. By Dakota Line Snares and Trapping Products. Snares loaded for speed. And by Wiebe Fleshing and Skinning Knives. We are wicked sharp. We are Wiebe.
I'm holding in my hand a DP1 made by QSR and F&T, and it is a push-pull trap. It's got a two-way trigger, so if the coon reaches in and pushes down, he gets caught, or if he pulls up with his fingers, he gets caught. Very well made, straight length chain, double swiveled, and the beauty of it is that it's so easy to set. You just squeeze it, and if you aren't strong enough to do that, you can put it on the ground and use the weight of your body to set it. Your grandmother could set it. FB1 by F&T.
So we're going to take this body grip and put it right in there. It doesn't have to be complicated. Trapping's just, you'll learn a few basic things, and then it's just good equipment, animal population, and work ethic. Take your safety catches off. Take some of this already loose grass, just pile it up on the spring there, fluff this up. That's as easy as it gets to make a set. What we've got here, we've got a wet land on both sides of the road. Behind me there's a field entrance, and there's a tube that goes under, and there's that obvious trail going in and out of both sides, and then there's pasture, a fence on one side, and a field, agricultural field on the other. There's a trail going in on the other side of the road. So we set 3 traps here, and so far this trap here through this tunnel in the washout has connected twice. Now, I don't know how much this fella weighs, but he's a big skunk. See how that 160 Duke did a number on him? I mean, he didn't do anything except tumble over. He was right on top of the stabilizer. Well, we're gonna remake this because I got a suspicion that we might catch another one. So I'm gonna reset this trap and put this guy in the truck for a ride. It's a beautiful black and white with a nice white stripe. He didn't even get a shoulder in there. That trap caught him right across here and just put him down. It was a very humane kill. All we're doing here is we're using a renewable resource. Fur is beautiful, and it's a renewable resource. And as far as skunks and possums and coon go, they destroy more ground nesting bird eggs than any other animal. A lot of people think the coyotes are getting their pheasants, or the bobcats are getting their turkeys, and they probably do get some. You know, it's always cool to think the top of the food chain's giving you the biggest problem, but that's not always the case. If you got 100 possums in a section, or 20 or 30 skunks, it's more likely they're doing more damage than the apex predator. I think that's a alpha skunk right there. He's a big one. I've got this trap set right in the middle of this trail, and it's just it's a washout, but it's also a tunnel through the grass. And when we set it, we bent the springs down and just pulled the grass back over it. The skunk already knows where he's going because he's been up and down this trail all summer. So it doesn't take long to reset after you get the line up and running and you catch some animals.
Oh man, 14.25. Wow.
It's the biggest one yet.
Is that on pounds?
Yes, it is. This actually, someone lived here and they had power here. We're 3 or 4 miles from the nearest good road, but there is a road coming in here, and it used to be as good as anything because there are power poles here, and there's kids' shoes and stuff left in the kitchen. Even though the house is in very poor condition, the skunks are living under the floor, and we're learning as we go that what we thought the skunks had to have may not necessarily be so. We're out here in the middle of a grassland, but a skunk eats insects mostly for its diet. So we've got grass, got grasshoppers, we got skunks. Then there's a cistern over here where the people had water.
Your sister's over here?
No, a cistern.
Oh.
Good one.
Wiebe Trapline Adventures is brought to you by Who's Your Trapper Supply, offering top quality hunting and trapping products of the highest quality at a competitive price. By Southern Snares Trapping Supply, our customer success is our top priority. And by Mark Steck Animal Lures, top quality baits and lures with proven performance.
Red's an interesting guy, very organized, very tidy, and I think it's going quite well.
But I can't believe how much stuff he loses. It's like we were making our second set and he lost his driver in a pasture. We're gonna have a metal detector to find all the stuff that he loses. I know he brought spares, but I don't know if he brought enough spares.
He's really good with conibears, and that's what I want to pick up, what he knows about conibears. And very detailed, kind of picky. I mean, he irons his clothes every morning. That's a little different for me. The ironing board takes up a lot of space.
You know when you go on a trip and you always try to take enough clothes? He told me last night he didn't think he brought enough socks and underwear, and he was contemplating buying socks. Well, this morning before we did our usual routine of going to Burger King and getting a sandwich and a senior coffee, we stopped at the laundromat and he got a bunch of odd socks.
He might be upset with me right now. I spilled a quart of chocolate milk down his dash and he hasn't talked to me in 4 hours.
All right, what we got here is an old house. This is a perfect denning site for all these animals that are gonna find a good spot to get in out of the cold for the winter. We've got 3 bait buckets here we sent the other day, and we've got a skunk in the first one, and we've got coons in the other 2. It's snowed a little bit earlier today, so they've got snow on them, but there's a nice skunk. He's a pretty big one, not the whitest of stripes, but we'll take him. We've got a good sized coon here.
Ooh.
Look how he's caught in that 160, just right behind the ears. That 160 shut his water off quick. And over here, we've got a smaller coon. See how he's caught right behind the head? I like using these buckets because it allows me to make a productive set without having to look around for anything. It's actually self-contained set I bring with me. I just have to look for the right location to set it. And these coons, they're coming in here just like the skunks. I've had places where I had a den and I've caught, I think in the winter time they'll den together because I've caught them all coming out the same hole. And I think in the winter time they want that body heat from the other animals, and you'll have multiple animals in one den. So it helps them to stay warm even if it's not the nicest of dens. And look at this house. How warm could it be? But then you don't know what's back underneath of the floorboards back up under there. So it's just a really good set location, and it will probably produce some more animals.
Well, the skunk trapping has come to an end, and we waited too long to pull them. Now we're going to pay the price. We're going to get out everything we can find. It hasn't drifted terribly, but it's going to drift some today and snow some more.
All right, we're here we're picking up our traps because we got more snow than the weatherman predicted. But when we went down to this culvert, used our metal trap setter to try to find the top of the trap. Well, the trap was gone off of the stake, and here we got him. Woohoo! Nice big dry skunk up in the culvert. So we're gonna get him out of the trap and wrap up our gear and get it stowed. Then we're gonna get on down to the next one before it starts blowing and we have to use a shovel, which is never desirable.
I'm gonna get back in the warm truck, Red. Do you mind?
Yeah, go have a sip off your coffee, Mark.
Okay.
Let me take care of this for you.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Remember what your mom's told you about saying please and thank you, and it just might get someone to take a skunk out of your conibear in the middle of a blizzard.
Thank you kindly, Red.
Wiebe Trapline Adventures is brought to you by Cold Creek Trapping Products, serious trapping gear for the serious trapper. By FurTeckerTV.com, the absolute best collection of trapping videos available streaming online. And by Naturally Bob Sportsman's Pet Shampoo. Naturally encapsulates the absolute worst odors in the outdoors, leaving your pet scent-free.
All right, we're in the process of pulling traps, and nothing worse than a snowstorm when you're running body grips in the ditch. Because you can see, I walked over here, I thought I knew where it was at, and the trap was 3 feet in front of me, and I dug up all that snow with my rake, and I finally hooked the wire, and all that was where I thought the trap was my stake. Look at this, a badger in a 160. That thing was set close, the trap was set close to the ground. I think we caught a skunk in it the other day before it stormed. But here we got a nice, I mean, it's not a really good furred badger because it's so early, but somebody's gonna like it a lot. I mean, I can sell all of them I catch. But this was just if you look over in the back, there's a cornfield and an old farmstead and a windbreak over there, and this badger was just going down this skunk trail, or I guess game trail, and we caught him because we had the trap in the right position. Just one of the surprises that you get when you're running a trap line. A pleasant surprise. There's plenty of the other ones.
We've got a bucket set in this shed, and it's for skunks, and it's not uncommon at all to get bobcats going in a shed. In this case, we had a coyote come along, and he stepped in there. He could smell what's in the bucket. We didn't catch him. I think he maybe got whacked on the nose, or maybe he flipped the bucket over, but the trap's pulled outside of the bucket inside, and you can see he probably got whacked and then he went that way. And I've pointed this out before. Sometimes it's hard to tell in snow what you got. You might have 2 coyotes, or you might have 1. When you're driving, it's harder to tell, but he's going this way. He probably hightailed it out of here when he got snapped. He's got a little drag there. Some coyotes will drag. It depends on their gait, and so I rarely make the call driving because probably 90% of the time I could. But if I'm looking for cats are not real common out here. I don't make the call from the road unless I see a lot of one guy's tracks in the behavior of a cat. In this case, it's coyotes. And so he smelled our dead chicken. We're using dead chicken in these buckets. So he decided to come in the door. And there's still a little bit of dead chicken in there. The mice have got most of it, but he checked it out probably last night, no doubt last night. And then he went on his way. I'm using a Wiebe Boss Dog knife. This is a fixed blade knife, does not fold. This is what I use in the fur shed, and I just keep it in my toolbox. It's got just a great handle, and these they're so sharp, you know, they're really good on a skunk because you get up around those sacks and you want precision, and that's what this gives me. And I'm not afraid to change it fairly often, although I know guys that have done a whole deer, even a whole elk with one blade. You hit bone and that's what dulls them. But they are so sharp and they just, I want good eyes on these and good faces because they're for the tan fur market and they're just a blessing, really. Well, it was a successful trip in terms of many things. One, friendship. Two, we said we were in search of our youth and we found that. Three, we caught just some monster skunks, beautiful skunks. And we caught coyotes and badgers and porcupines and raccoons and so until next time, peaceful waters. I have a market for the skulls, and so we save these, and it's just a little additional money for your work. And I'll put them on a website for them and sell them. There'll be no problem selling skunk skulls because just nobody that traps skunks. They don't want to deal with the smell, and